Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the session today where we are going to talk about how to use data and insights to help your business grow. Hi, my name is Irma Karsten. I'm from the Digital Marketing Academy, and we are so happy to have all of you. While I do introductions, it will be lovely to if you can just introduce yourself to us in the chat, let us know where you're from, and then we will kick the session off. So, as I said earlier, my name is Irma Karsten. I'll be your facilitator. And in the background, we have my colleague Nelson Kalula. He's going to be answering all your questions in the comments and in the chat. So keep them coming. Nelson is always very on the ball and very fast in there. So welcome, Nelson, and thank you very much for your backup. And we also have Dylan Kolstad all the way from Germany online. She is our CEO of Digital Marketing Academy. So we are happy to have you. The Digital Marketing Academy, the head office is based in Cape Town, and we have an office in Johannesburg and recently opened up our European office. So the Digital Marketing Academy is all about digital marketing. We have interactive courses, and we have quite a few facilitators teaching our students everything about digital marketing, social media marketing. We have online courses and in-person courses too, and also blended options where we blend online and in-person courses. So yeah, welcome. So I see a few people from Pretoria. Hi there. Nicoline is from Pretoria. Abu Lele is from Cape Town. Hello, welcome. We have Umzimkulu from KZN and Amy from Cape Town, Tash from Plet. So great. All over the country. Happy to see you. And we have Dylan all the way from Germany. So let us then kick off the session. Right. So what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about how to use data and insights to grow your business. And after today's session, you will be able to identify and understand the right questions to ask to help you make the right decisions based on your data. You'll be able to identify the best tools to use to get the right insights and data about your business. And also you will be able to analyze and understand your data sets. The whole purpose of having data and analytics and information is to help you make the right business decisions. So if you use your reports, your data, your stats, your analytics in the right way, it can help you to understand what do you need to do more of? Because in digital marketing, whatever works, we do more of. So if your statistics and your analytics show you that your something is working in terms of your marketing, we put more effort into that, and it can help you to identify gaps and opportunities. Before we kick off, just a reminder that there are free mentoring sessions available via the Google Digital Skills program. So Nelson will just type in the links for us in the chat. You are welcome to join any of these sessions if you own a business or if you own a charity. And our highly skilled Google Digital Skills mentors will be able to give you some valid advice and help you grow your businesses. Right, so let us then kick off. I would like to know from you, what words would you use to describe your customers? So you can maybe just type it in the chat. How would you describe your customers? Would you describe them as business owners, as professionals? Maybe your ideal customers are procurement managers if you are in a B2B environment. They could be students, they could be moms, they could be women. How would you describe your customers, and which words would you use? Would you use them as middle income or people from cities? Which words would you use to describe your customers? That'll be interesting for us to just see in the chat. There is a bit of a delay between when I'm speaking and when I can see your comments. So there are a few seconds delay, just so that you know that. So I can see that Nicoline says she would describe her customers as medium businesses in need of IT support and cybersecurity. Fantastic. That's a good description. Thank you. Also, then Umzimkulu says small business owners, students, youth. Fantastic. Right. I also need you to think a little bit wider. What else are these people? How else could you describe them? Are they into technology? Where do they spend their time? So think about the other ways and other characteristics around your audience in terms of how you can describe them as people. Yes, we know in terms of customers, but how would you also describe them as people? What else makes them the people that they are? So we're going to help you through this session then to understand which questions you should ask and what are the right questions that you should ask. Another question that I like to ask you is, what questions do you want to ask your customers? Right? Think about it for a second. What questions do you want to ask your customers? Do you want to know which social media platforms they're spending their time on? Would you like to ask them what type of content would they like to see more from your business online? Would you like to ask them about their interests or feedback about your products? What types of questions would you like to ask your customers? So think about it for a moment. You can keep your comments coming in the chat. We will be manning them in there. So thank you, Nelson, again. He's very active in the chat, and I'll check the chat every now and again. So let us know, what questions would you like to ask your customers? Now, we're going to go through a process for analytics, and we can break this process down into 4 steps. So step 1 is always in digital marketing, we start every process, every project, every campaign, every new initiative with this question. You need to identify your objectives. What are your objectives? What are you trying to achieve in your company? And you will always, those of you who've heard me before, I always say that all paths lead back to your website in digital marketing. So what is the objective of your website? What do you want people to do when they come onto your site? Is your site about information? Do you want them to provide you with their email address? Do you want them to download something? Do you want them to sign up for something? Do you want them to buy online? What is your objective, right? And then the second step in the process for analytics is, what questions do you need to address, right? We'll come back to these steps in a moment now. And then, where do you get the information from? Where do you get information to ask the right questions and to help you meet your objectives? And then the last step is, what do you then do with that information? So we're going to look closer into what can be done with data and information. So let's look at step 1, which is the question that you should ask is, what is your objective? Right, so I can see some questions in the chat that you would like to ask your customers. Udette says, how can we improve our new service offering? Awareness, all right. Nicolene says, how we can help you to achieve your IT goals. Fantastic. All the others that are online, please think about the questions. If you could ask your customers in person, what would you like to know from them? And which questions would you like to ask? Right, so let's look at a few examples of objectives. Now, every company, each business owner will have their own objectives and goals that they need to achieve to make their business successful and profitable. But some examples could be that you may want to, one of your objectives could be to tell people more about your business. Or it could be to obviously sell more of your products or services, right? That's why we are in business. Or it could be to identify your most valuable customers. Or it could be to find new ways to engage with your customers. So you really need to, if you don't have these objectives already, you need to go and find out what are the objectives of your business. What is it that you are trying to achieve? And then now that you've identified your objectives, or you know what they are, now what are the questions that you need to address? So we use the REEN acronym, which stands for Reach, Engage, Activate, and Nurture. And this is all about who is your target audience and how do you reach them online, right? You need to be really clear. You really need to understand or know your target audience intimately. Where do they spend their time? Where do they relax? What else are they interested in apart from your business offering or your service, right? One of the questions that you need to ask is, are they finding what they need? But what is it that they need? What is the solution that you have to offer? What are the problems that they're trying to solve? Questions like, are they booking? How are you activating your customers? What is the step they need to take online for you to activate them as active leads and ultimately paying clients? And then we need to nurture these relationships online and get them to come back. So although if you look at your analytics and you have a whole host of new visitors to your website and new followers to your social channels, you need them to come back, because new visitors or people who are exposed to your business or your digital channels for the first time hardly ever convert or take that action on the very first interaction with your brand. It takes a few repetitive interactions, and usually, on average, it takes about 6 interactions with a consumer or a customer or a visitor online before they actually would start considering to engage with your business or take action or to convert. So we need them to come back, right? Now, where do we get the information from? So we need information, we need data, we need insights, but where do we get it from? What tools can you use to get your analytics data and insights? And then where does it come from? So let's have a look at it. Now, we'll be looking at these tools in a little bit more detail later in this section. Excuse me. But to provide a quick overview of how these tools can help your business gain insights is in terms of your social channels, right? This is where it's super important for you to see which content your users are engaging with. And in your social channels, we can measure the number of views you have on your content, how many people like your content or follow your pages or share your content. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of these tools, YouTube, have strong reporting features, which can really help you analyze the data. Then in terms of organic search, we can then identify what customers are looking for and then align your business, your message, your content with what they are actively searching for. Your website is a powerful tool because you can identify which pages have the most views and which of those pages actually cause users to disengage or bounce off or leave your website. So you can see on your website, because that's where all paths lead to, that's where users convert, that's where they find the information that you're looking for. Your website is absolutely crucial in terms of understanding what users are doing. How are they finding your website? What are they doing when they are onto your website? Where do they leave? Where do they exit? Right? And then lastly, we're going to look at paid search and how you can market your products to customers via using paid channels. So but that's important to understand. What are your customers looking for? What type of audiences do you want to attract? Right, and then in terms of step 4, this is all about, now that you have the insights and the analytics, then what do you use it for? What can you do with it and how will it affect your business? Right, so let's look at ways to use your insights. Now, you can identify, if you have access to all of your insights, and maybe you should make a note on your to-do list, is ask your marketing team, or if you are not the marketing team, ask them to give you access to your Google Analytics account, ask them to give you access to your social media data, and you should start analyzing the data to make the right decisions, because then you can identify market trends. What are consumers doing? How do their search behaviors change? How do their online behaviors change? You can use your data and insights to understand your users' experience on your site. What is the navigation path they take on your site? And also to understand their path to purchase on your website. That will also help you to make sure that you have a fantastic experience for your users on your website. You can use data and insights to understand and identify what type of content users like to influence your content marketing plan, and also leverage insights to shape your overall strategy. Because once we have the data, we can then see what it is that we need to do more of. So before we deep dive into the next session or section, let me just pause for a moment. Are there any questions that you may have at this stage? I'm going to give it a moment. Are there any questions that you would like to ask? You're more than welcome to ask them during the session in the chat too, but let me just check any questions. I'm just going to give it a few seconds as there is a bit of a delay. I don't see any questions in the chat yet, but they may come as we progress. Right. Okay, so now let's look at ways to identify the best tools to use. Right. I would also love to know, while you are typing in the chat or while we are talking, which analytics tools are you currently using in your business? Right. Let us know in the chat, which analytics tools are you currently using? Are you using Google Analytics? Or are you using your insights on your social platforms? Are you using email insights on your email service provider platforms? Are you looking at Google Search Console? What type of analytics tools are you currently using? That would be just great to know. I see Michelle from Cape Town joined. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to everyone else who joined in between. We hope you enjoy the session. Right, which tools are you currently using? That'll also be great if you would like to just type that in the chat for us. Okay, while you're doing that, let us then have a look at a few tools that you can use to get information. So in terms of the social platforms, all of the social platforms have fantastic features. Your Facebook insights. On Twitter, there is a wealth of insights that you can use. Tools like Hootsuite or Later or Buffer or Sprout Social, all of these tools have detailed analytics that can really help to analyze the success of your social channels. I see that people are using, Dominique uses Google Analytics, social media platforms, and Agora Pulse. Fantastic. Thank you, Dominique. Nicoline uses insights on social media platforms. Umzinkulu uses insights on social platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Fantastic. Make sure those of you who don't have access yet, make sure you get access to your Google Analytics accounts and your Google Search Console. Right, so coming back to the tools that you can use. In terms of organic search, to understand what are the search terms that users are actually typing into search engines for your content to be displayed and for your website to be found, we use tools like Google Search Console. Right now, Google Search Console, we'll go into this a little bit deeper now, is a free tool in the Google suite, but this can tell you exactly what users are typing in, which search terms are they using. So that can tell you how do you need to optimize the content on your website and all of your other digital channels. You can use tools like Google My Business to understand what are the search terms that users are using to find the location of your site or for your Google My Business listing to be displayed. Because if we understand user behavior, then that can tell us more about how to show up in the right way for our audience. Jolene uses Shift 1. Fantastic, right? We're happy to hear that. Then in terms of your website data and performance on your website, we use Google Analytics. There are many other analytics tools, but the best tools are the ones that we are recommending now. And then in terms of paid search, Google Ads also have massive data sets available in the Google Ads reporting section. Right, so let's dive into these tools then. If we look at Facebook page insights as an example. Now, the screenshot that you can see on your screen right now is taken from the Google Page Insights. And this is where you can find out exactly who your audience is. What are they actually in, which content, what types of content are they engaging with, right? So this is where it will tell you about their activities. Which pages on your Google Facebook profile are they visiting? Are they clicking through to the links on your website? Are they clicking on the call button? It will tell you which types of content they like. It will tell you how many people you've reached with your content. And also, it will give you your page engagement rate. Remember that one of the biggest success factors in social media marketing is we need engagement on our content. The algorithms, all social platforms pick up your engagement rates, and the higher your engagement rates are, the more people your content will be displayed to in terms of your reach. So you need engagement, but just be careful not just going for the likes. There's a difference between likable and shareable content. The big secret in terms of engaging in social media platforms is you need to create shareable content that your audience will share to their networks. That is the power of social media. Right, you can also in your Facebook page insights see data about who your followers are. What are their locations, their languages, and also a little bit more about their demographic information like their gender and their interests. And this will adjust over time. So you can then actively track and monitor your audience in terms of Facebook. Not just Facebook, the other social platforms all have similar types of insights, but then obviously tailored for the platform. So Google Search Console works to show you about data about your customers in terms of what they are searching for your website to show up in organic search. Now, the Google Search Console tools and reports will help you to see what and to measure your website's search traffic and the performance. And also, it will give you a diagnostic tool and check whether there are any issues that need to be fixed on your website, maybe in terms of slow loading pages. Right? Remember that in search engine optimization, speed is crucial. Speed, fast loading pages, fast loading website is one of the top ranking factors in SEO. So I cannot stress enough how important speed is. So Google Search Console will then analyze your website and see whether there are slow loading pages and what you can do then. It will give you the recommendations to fix those issues. Because search engine optimization is all about giving users a fantastic experience while they are looking for solutions to their problems, answers to their questions, and then help them to find your website, find the right content, and help them solve their problems. So do not underestimate the power of Google Search Console. Make sure that it is activated, linked to your website, linked to your Google Analytics accounts, and that you have access to those reports. Because it can help you to see which queries bring users to your site. And also, analyze your site impressions and your clicks, and then also your position on Google search. We all want to be on page 1 in Google search, but it takes time to get there. So these tools will help you to make sure that your site is optimized in terms of showing up on page 1 in search. Google Search Console is also a tool where you can then submit a sitemap. Sitemap is the structure of your website broken down so that when you submit it to Google search on the platform, you can then review your index coverage to make sure that your site can be crawled and that the SEO algorithms can actually find the content on your website. So your sitemap tells the search engines which images, which pages, which types of content, which videos are available on your website in order for these search engines to find your site and serve it to people who are searching for your solution online. You can also receive email alerts when Google identifies an issue on your website. Maybe there's a URL that has been affected by an issue, and then Google will tell you how to fix them. You can then resubmit your sitemap once it's been fixed, and it will give you a diagnostic analysis or a report in terms of the health of your site. Another tool by Google is the Google My Business tool. So this will show information about your customers or users. Right, so you can then use Google My Business as a tool to manage your online presence. And it's another channel for users to find you, right? Especially in local search, especially for users who are looking for a business or a solution or a product like yours in their local area. So this is then where you can manage your online presence across Google Search and Maps. So that will then enable users to find the exact location of your company. You can then create a listing with which your customers can then use to engage with your business. It's another platform, another opportunity to get them to start conversations with your business. And you can then use your Google My Business listing to market to your customers, to communicate with them, to post updates about your business, news, promotions, products, right? And then increase your visibility. In Google My Business, you can then use the insights available to find out how many views your listing had, how and where customers found your listing, the actions they then took on your listings. Did they hit the call button? Did they visit your website? Did they look for directions to your business? What is it that they then what are the actions taken once they found your listing? And you can then have a look at other interactions that customers have with your Google My Business listing, like viewing your photos, for example. Another tool that's often very underutilized is Google Trends. Now, and try it. If you haven't tried Google Trends, you should. You can just type into Google search, type in Google Trends, and it will redirect you to this tool. Google Trends is a search feature that shows the popularity of a search term in Google. Let's say you offer tailor-made clothes, for example, right? You can then use Google Trends to actually monitor and measure how many people are looking for these search terms, or are they using synonyms or other words or other terms to actually find your solution. Because it's always important to use consumer words, consumer terms when you write content on your digital channels. Then you can have a look in Google Trends whether the trend is on the rise or whether it's declining. Maybe you can then pick up if there's a or an increasing demand for your product or service in your location or other locations. You can also then find demographic insights about people who are using these search terms and related topics. So what are the other topics that people are searching for? If they are looking for shoes, what else are they looking for? Are they looking for socks, or are they looking for clothes together with shoes? What are the related topics then? And these related queries will help you to better understand what are the current search trends on search engines at the moment. And search trends change all the time. One of the CEO of Google, I read an article about it a week or two ago, where they actually mentioned that the type of search terms, the words users use, change on a daily basis. And every single day, there are searches on Google or search terms that users have never used before. Did you know that? So you need to stay on top of how are people searching for your product or your solution. Right now, Google Trends gives access to a largely unfiltered sample then of actual search requests made to Google. Now, nobody is personally identified, so it is anonymous information, but it is categorized then. So it will determine the topic for a search query, for example, and then group the data together. So this will allow to display interest in a particular topic from around the globe, or you can even drill down into city level geographical information. So the Google Trends data then reflects searches people make on Google every day. It's live, but it can also reflect irregular search activities like automated searches or queries that may be associated with attempts to spam search results. But also, we can see the peaks and the lows when there is a hot topic that people are discussing online at the moment. You can then go and have a look at how the interest may have peaked about certain search topics. Like, for instance, recently when the Olympics was happening, search terms related to the Olympics actually showed a peak during that time. Right then, Google Trends can help you to rise above your competition when you use this tool, because it will help you to find relevant trending topics as they happen right now. Now, doing this will help you to clearly see whether the search volume is increasing or decreasing. Every company, every business have peaks and lows or seasons when users are looking for specific information. To give you an example, for spas, for example, right now people are looking for summer body type of solutions, or how to get into shape before summer, because we are moving into summer now in the Southern Hemisphere in South Africa. So Google Trends can help you to identify what are people looking for. Are they looking for manicures or pedicures? What is it that they're looking for? And then also, this will give you a clear-cut view, a clear-cut shot of what is happening right now in the world. You can also monitor your competitors. So you can go and type in your competitor's company name and your company name and see how users are finding your competitors versus you, right? You can also do comparative analysis on Google Trends. You can identify steady keywords for SEO. So you can then identify what are those keywords that your users use over and over again to get or to type or search for the solution that you have to offer. So you can then find topics by region. You can target customers at a local, region, or global scale, depending on the type of business that you are in. Right, so then my favorite is Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is fantastic to help you understand the performance of your website. So this will give you complete information and to help you understand your site, your website, and your app, if you have an app, to check the performance of your marketing. How effective are your marketing channels in terms of getting traffic through to your website? It can help you to understand the performance of the content on your site. How relevant is the content? Are people engaging with your content or not? Where are they engaging? It can help you to understand more about the performance of your products and many more types of information. Now, the insights that only Google can give is via Google Analytics, where you access Google's unique insights and machine learning capabilities to make the most of your data. And then use this insights, connect your insights then to your results. So Google Analytics work fantastically and really well with Google's advertising and publisher products. So then you can really use the insights to deliver better results. Right, so before we move into, we're going to take a deeper look into the different features and ways that you can use analytics in the next few slides. But let me just pause for a moment for questions. Are there any questions so far? I don't see any new questions in the chat, but you are welcome to let us know. Any questions? Let me just take a moment. Thank you, Nelson, for all the links. Save these links somewhere. These are very, very powerful and helpful links. Right. I don't see any questions right now, but let us know if there are any. So how do we now understand and analyze the data that we have available? So let's dive a little deeper. Now on your screen, you will see a screenshot of the Google Analytics dashboard. So when you access your Google Analytics account, this is what you will see at first glance. And we're going to look at what it is that you can gain on Google Analytics. So in your dashboard view, you can see the geographic location of people who come onto your website. You can see the popularity of your site over time. You can see who your active users are. You can see the number of visits to your website and also where your website visitors are coming from. Right, so how do we set up a Google Analytics account? Now, if you don't have a Google Analytics account already, really easy to set up. Nelson will type the link in the chat for us. Thank you, Nelson. But you can go to google.com/analytics and then create an account. So give your account a name, especially if you have multiple websites and multiple businesses. Then choose the industry category, which will help you to, when you benchmark against other websites in a similar industry. And then you can, like for example, consumer electronics or marketing. Then you can see the performance or benchmark the performance of your website against similar websites in your industry. Now, the data in Google Analytics is anonymous at an aggregate level. So this will give you also an idea of, for example, what the bounce rate on your site is versus the bounce rate of your competitors. What is super helpful, those of you who have not used it before, is the Google Analytics Academy, where there are free Google courses that will explain Google Analytics to you more in detail. Right, now step 1 is to create your account in Google Analytics. Step 2 is then once you've created your account, there will be a little tracking code that you need to insert the back end of your website. And your tracking code will then, once it's activated on the back end of your site, will track your site performance. And you need to add the tracking code to all of your pages to enable this data to be fed through to your Google Analytics account for you to analyze. Right. Okay. So now, where do you find the tracking code? So when you are using a website builder like WordPress or other tools or blogs, there is a simple field in your settings on your website builder or your CMS where you can add the tracking code ID, or tracking ID. Once you've created your Google Analytics account, Google Analytics will assign a tracking ID to your account, and that tracking ID can then be added onto your website builder. And that will then integrate your website data with Google Analytics. So that's the easy way. Or if you are a little bit more familiar with coding, and then you can just add in the tracking code on the back end of all of your pages on your website. Now, what do we see in Google Analytics? So there are two versions of Google Analytics. In Universal Analytics, which is part of the screenshot that you can see on your screen right now. Universal Analytics is the current version of Google Analytics. In November 2020, a new Google Analytics version was launched, Google Analytics 4, which is a completely different way of tracking data on your website. Most companies are still on UA, Universal Analytics, but eventually will migrate over to GA4 or Google Analytics 4. But for the next few months coming, we still run on both platforms because Universal Analytics is where your historic data will be, and you need to create a separate account, property and tracking code for GA4. So the way that the data is then collected is completely different for the two platforms. But as I said earlier, most companies are still using Universal Analytics at the moment. Now, what can we find in Universal Analytics? Right, so there are four main groups of reports, right? The screenshot you will see on your report, and those of you who've accessed Google Analytics before will know that there are audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversion reports. So these reports help you to find the answers to those burning questions that we've mentioned before. So in the audience reports, this is where we can see more information about your audience. Who are these people? Come onto my website. What is their location? Which languages do they speak? Which devices do they use to come onto my website? Then in your acquisition reports, you can then see how your customers are finding you. Which channels are driving traffic through to your website? Is it your social channels, your paid ads, your email marketing? So the acquisition reports will tell us how are users coming onto your site? Where are they finding you? How are they finding you? Then the behavior reports will tell us once they are on your website, what do they do? Where do they enter? How much time do they spend on your website? Which links do they click on? Where do they exit? Where do they convert? Right? So the behavior reports tell us when also about the behavior reports tell us more about the experience on your website. Are your pages slow loading? Where are people bouncing off? And then in your conversions report, this is where we track, are they actually completing those goals that you want to track? Now, remember that you need to be very clear about what is the objective of your website. What do you want people to do on your site? Do you want them to submit a quote request form? Then that should be a goal. Do you want them to buy your products online? That should be a goal, those online purchases. Or do you want them to sign up to your newsletter? That action should be a goal. Now, your conversions report will then, once you've identified those goals, will then show you how many of your visitors have completed those goals and also the path leading up to those conversions. So for the conversions report to work, you need to set up those goals manually and track those specific actions. So once you've mastered the basics on Google Analytics, it's really, really worth actually highlighting those goals so that you can then see what your conversion rates are and then where to improve your conversion rates. So Google will then use the data that it's tracking from your website to show you a series of these reports. Right, so on your screen, when you drill into your detailed reports in Google Analytics, this is typically what a detailed report would look like. So you would see on the left-hand of your side, on the left-hand side of your screen in the blue block, we see the dimensions. So this is where data is categorized together into segments, and then Google Analytics will tell you in terms of the dimensions, what data are you looking at? It tells us more about the what, right? Are you looking at your acquisition channels? Or are you looking at your landing page performance? Right? And then on the right-hand side of your screen in the yellow block, that's where the detailed numbers, the metrics are that tell us more about the performance in terms of new users to your site versus returning visitors, or how many sessions did you have on your website in a certain time frame. Your metrics will then tell us the how much, the how many actions were taken, the figures, the percentages, the conversion rates. Right, so really, really important to analyze this data to understand what it is. As I mentioned earlier, what do you need to do more of? What do you need to stop, start, or continue doing in terms of your digital marketing? Right. So now let's get back to the REEN acronym that we mentioned before. So now that we understand where to get the data from, now we use this acronym in terms of asking questions about the reach, engagement, activation, and nurturing of your customers. So in terms of reach, now we can ask the question, how are people finding you online, right? Which search terms are driving organic traffic through to your website? You can look at maybe improving links from your social media platforms. Do you have the right calls to action in your social media platforms to get people to your website, right? And you can develop relationships with referral websites where your website link is placed on other websites and traffic can be referred back to your site. Referrals are crucial in SEO. SEO wants referrals. So you need to work in terms of building links on other websites with your partners, your vendors, your distributors, right? To then point traffic back to your website and drive more traffic through to your website, right? Then we use the engage concept in terms of understanding what are people then engaging with when they find you online. So once we understand where they're finding you and how they are finding you, now we need to analyze which pages are not getting any views on your website, or understand what is really engaging to your visitors. Which types of content do they take action on both on your website and in your social platforms. For example, you could maybe in your analytics discover that you lose a lot of people at your payment page. So if you have an e-commerce website and you get the traffic, people are coming onto your site, right? But they are exiting your site from payment page and not completing the purchase. Then you can maybe go and have a look at your payment page, right? And analyze, maybe your page have too many fields to fill in. Maybe you can reduce the number of fields and make your payment process smoother. What you also need to do, what is really important, is you need to visit your website, go onto your website as if you are a potential customer. Look at your website from the eyes of your audience. What are they finding? What type of content are they finding? Does it make sense? Do they know where to go to next? Do they actually know what it is that your business, what do you do? Which problems can you solve for them? Is it easy for them to find their way around your site and to ultimately then convert? Because that's what we want, right? We want to drive our users to conversion, which brings me to the activate section. Now can find out which channels are driving the most bookings, right? You can identify which referring websites. Maybe you have if you are in the hospitality industry, maybe you have TripAdvisor that is referring traffic through to your website. Then you can go and analyze which referring sites bring good quality traffic. Maybe there are websites referring traffic through to your website that you didn't even know about. And you can develop a partnership with them then, or a relationship in terms of collaborating. Now, for referring websites that bring good quality traffic, you need to then get or build or find more of those, because referral traffic is a really, really powerful tool. You can also go and have a look at, in terms of the activate part of analyzing your data, which are underperforming referring sites, and maybe consider reviewing those partnerships. Your social media platforms should act as a referrer to your website. So use your social channels to drive traffic through to your site. Your social channels need to work for your website. Your social channels need to drive those followers. 1 million followers on your Facebook page mean nothing if they are not clicking through to your website and converting on your site. Likes and followers don't bring money in the bank, right? So you need to activate them to take action, which then brings us to the nurture side and getting your customers, looking after your existing clients, right? Not just looking after new customers, but getting those new customers to nurture those relationships or those leads up to conversion. But then once they've turned into paying customers, now keep them happy and loyal, because happy customers will leave good reviews. So are your customers happy to leave a review? You need to get genuine feedback from people that have bought your products or used your services. because those reviews are powerful in terms of giving new visitors a reason to engage with your company. But just remember, you need to respond to the good and the bad reviews. Do not ignore the bad reviews, right? And users or visitors or potential clients are much more forgiving when they see in reviews that companies or brands are responding to those bad reviews and trying to fix them, and they care about their customers. So try different ways to get your purchasers to really leave a review. So you can also use that data to understand what works, what doesn't. What works, we do more of. Right, so how do we use Google Trends then? Now you will see a screenshot of Google Trends on your screen now. Now the Google Trends homepage will then let you see, as we mentioned earlier, what is the world searching for? By entering, you can start by entering a specific topic in the Explore bar. You can also go and have a look on Google Trends. What are the current global trending topics right now to see what people are talking about, but also then look for data in terms of specific terms, keywords, or topics. And then you can also see, this is not available in South Africa now, but in some of the other countries, then the News Lab on Google Trends will provide additional data in terms of curated stories there. So it's not, as I mentioned earlier, not available in South Africa, unfortunately. Then you can also on Google Trends see daily search trends. You can look at a year's worth of data, or you can look at 5 years worth of data, how your search terms and keywords and the topics that you offer or services that you offer, what was the trends? Is there an increasing interest or a decreasing interest in those topics or keywords? And then you can find a lot of extra material in there in terms of trends. So in Google Trends, the trending searches page will then show trending searches around the world. And you can then click on these search terms to get more context and to see more or relevant information about those trending queries. So the daily search trends will then highlight searches that jumped significantly in traffic among all searches in the past 24 hours, and it's updated hourly. So if you're not on Google Trends at the moment, you should be. Even while we're talking, just go and discover Google Trends. It is a fantastic tool for research and very often underutilized. So you need to use this tool. It can give you valuable information. Right, so then you can use the daily search trends to see what people are most interested in at any given time and how these searches rank compared to one another. You can compare different keywords. You can compare your company name or product name or brand name to your competitors to see how many searches you have versus your competitors. Then you can also look at real-time search trends. So you can then highlight searches that jumped significantly in traffic amongst recent searches. And the algorithm for real-time searches, for real-time search trends, will then again group topics together that are trending at the same time on Google News and Search. And it will also rank stories based on relative spikes in those volumes and the absolute volume of those searches. Now, you can then use this data to check seasonal trends and then adjust to demand. Because the seasonal trends will allow your business to stay relevant and competitive. Because if you know what users are looking for, you can be proactive in terms of showing up for them and them finding your content and your website. So throughout the year, your business will then experience peaks and lows. That is natural for all businesses, right? And that will impact your revenue. All businesses have busy seasons and slower seasons. But if you understand the search behavior compared to those seasons, it can help you really make the most of giving your audience what they actually want. Right, so as an example, Annika may use Google Trends to identify seasonal trends in types of clothing. What are people searching for in terms of clothes? Jackets in winter, sandals in summer, as an example. And then create content around those current trends and adjust to the demand. Right, so you can then also use Google Trends for your keyword research. Your keywords are crucial in terms of making sure you have the right keywords and content on your website, but also using those keywords in your ads Keywords need to be integrated into all your or all your digital marketing channels. It's not just limited to search engine optimization and Google Ads. You need to really use those keywords then in all your channels and all your communication. Because Google Trends will then show you what searches and keywords are trending when you use the related queries section. The related queries section can help you to then use those trends to identify other potential keywords that you may have not been using in your communication. Or you can use it to identify or to name your product categories according to popular keywords. You may have a technical term for one of your products, but your users may be using a more generic type of topic. Then you can adjust. You can also optimize your products according to the trending keywords. For example, Annika looks for blouses, and then we can see what are the related keyword searches to that. Right, so I'm just going to pause for a moment. Are there any questions in terms of how we use data to make the right decisions in our business, to get in front of our customers, to ask them the right decisions, and to really, really adjust to what it is that we see that our users are doing or that they are actually looking for or want? Are there any questions? I hope today's session was helpful for you. Let us know if there are any questions. Right, type them in the chat if there are any. Right, you can also, just as a reminder, sign up for the Google Mentorship program by Google Digital Skills, where the Google mentors will actually then help you with burning issues in your company. So let us know, was this helpful for you today? How are you going to use data going forward? And are you currently using all the data and analytics that you have access to? Do you have access to them? So, which brings me to the next question. What are your next steps after today? So today's session is actually just the beginning. So what are those things that you maybe need to change or need to start doing or implementing? So think about it for a moment. Are there certain steps that you can take to make sure that you use these tools effectively? Right, so you can find Google Digital Skills on social media. So you can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So make sure you follow the Google Digital Skills channels for more information. And we are starting our next session in a few minutes, where we're going to drill deeper into a strategic approach for making the most of your digital channels. Right, so with that, it brings us to the end of our session today. Please don't forget to sign up and to receive a certificate from Digital Marketing Academy for attending this session. Thank you, Nelson, for the link in the chat. You are welcome to then just click on the link, complete the form, and we'll send you a DMA certificate. We hope to see you in our next session in a few minutes, and there will be a lot more training coming. Absolutely free, and please join us again. Take care.